Hey there, welcome back to my channel, and let's get right into it. One of the questions that I get asked most in emails is, should I hire a professional consultant to help my child get an appointment to a Federal Service Academy? I must get this question at least 10 or 15 times every spring and every fall when the whole cycle begins again. And I did a video about this about a year or so ago. I'll put a card at the end of this video with that, a link to that, and I'll put the link down below in the notes. But I'm going to address it again for a lot of the new people here. And I'm going to go over the pros and the cons, and then I'm going to give you my personal opinion about it. So here we go. The first pro is if they have specific service academy experience, if they have helped others get into any Federal Service Academy, whether it's the Merchant Marine Academy or the Coast Guard Academy or West Point Navy or Air Force, it really doesn't matter. If they understand the process, if they understand the timeline, if they understand how things have to be done for the nominations and then the appointments and all of that, they understand that timeline, that is definitely a pro. And they can bring something to the table and they can help with that. Especially for people out there who have no experience whatsoever and who really don't want the burden, like on the parents or the guardians, to get through all that. Yes, that can be a pro. The second item is that they will be able to quickly identify the weak spots in a potential candidate. Now, if you watch my videos, you can see I always cover the same things because there's always it's the same rotation every year. It's sports, it's community service, it's volunteering, it's grades, it's SATs, it's all of those things. You go back, look at all my videos, they're all outlined out there. But a person who has experience with the service academies can look at a candidate on paper, yes, on paper, and say, okay, this person has really good grades, they're a captain of multiple teams, they have no community leadership, no community experience. That's all they do is, play a sport, they swim all day, play football all night, and they have really great SATs. They're weak in these other areas. Or vice versa. They do everything else great, but they have no sports and their grades are terrible. They'll be able to identify that very quickly. And they'll be able to say, hey, look, this is what you got to do to improve that. And this is what you got to do to improve your chances. With those weak areas to go to an academy. They will bring that expertise. And that's something that a lot of people, parents especially, they look at their children much differently than the world looks at their children. Their children can do no wrong. Their children's perfect. Their child is a perfect candidate for whatever academy. And they just don't understand why the kid has a 300 SAT and they didn't get into West Point. It's just beyond them. But a professional can look at it very quickly and says, hey, you got to work in your ACTs, you got to work in your SATs. That's something that they can bring to a party. The next thing, which is really important, and I actually addressed this in a past video, and I think it was with the CFA, is that they are a different voice than the parent. A parent telling a kid to constantly do something, the mother, the father, the guardian, whoever, constantly chipping on that kid, did you study for the SATs? Did you get your essay in? Did you do this? Did you do that? That can be a nag. It can be annoying. It could create friction between the child and the parents, and that just escalates. I mean, we all know how that goes. We've all either experienced it or caused it to be experienced by others. So I've been on both sides of that, and I'm sure the younger viewers out there are probably on the receiving end of it. Well, I've been on the receiving and the giving end of it. But a professional consultant will not put up with that. And they are a voice of authority from the outside, and they will push on that kid to do what they're supposed to do. There's an old joke out there in the professional world. Who's a consultant? A consultant is an expert more than 100 miles away. So here, once again, we have a consultant who's an expert, and they're not living in the house. I mean, for what it's worth, that's what it is. The last one that I have here as a positive for using a consultant again in their service academy is that they can quickly review the essays, the submittals, all those things, and they can say, hey, you know what? You're really better than this. You wrote this essay about how you worked and the summer job, and you handed out ice cream to the kids on the boardwalk, and they gave you $1 each, and you submitted the $5 at the end of the day. But how about this thing that you did over there? You worked in the cancer clinic, and you helped the doctors with cancer patients, and you did all these positive things. Why didn't you mention that? They actually can look through the resume of the kid, take notes from discussion with the kid, and then when it comes time for the essay, say, you know what? I know you like talking about that, but you really should put this in, and this is really what they're looking for. That is a positive that an outside consultant brings if you're trying to get into a service academy. So those are my few things. I think there's 4 or 5 things here I discuss on positives. And now let's go to the negatives, the cons. The first negative, the first con that I have is with the first positive one that I had in the beginning of the video. If they do not have specific service academy experience, they can be a detriment to your son or daughter getting into a service academy. If you watch my videos, it's a specific timeline. I mean, it's a very definitive timeline. Right now, I'm filming this in the beginning of June. And right now, people are starting their applications for the service academies. The applications for regular colleges really don't begin until the fall and the winter time. I mean, it's just the way that life is. If they do not have specific service academy experience and they don't understand the timeline, they can do nothing but hurt your kids' chances of getting a service academy. And if they don't have that experience, walk away. And if you want to use a consultant, find somebody who does. I'm just telling you that. I've heard a lot of bad stories. Just don't do it. The next thing is that if you watch my videos, I kind of tell you where you should be every month. I kind of tell you what you need for your interviews, how to dress, what to say, what to bring. I tell you all these different things, what to do for some of the essays. You might be paying for somebody to tell you exactly what I'm telling you in free videos. They might be just monitoring your son or daughter's progress and say, okay, Janie, Johnny, did you, submit your application to the Naval Academy today? Did you submit your application to Congressman Smith and Senator Jones today? Okay, all right, we'll check that off. Okay, and we'll get back to you next week. And how you doing with that essay? Okay, we'll review that and we'll check that off. And you could be paying up to $300 or more an hour for that service. Now, if that's something that you want to pay for and something you can afford and you think there's a value in it, go ahead. But I really think that this is something that the kid can do and you can do yourself if that's all you want to do is monitor the progress. I always tell a story about the head of DODMERB, Larry Mullen. Larry Mullen always says every year at the conference that I go to, he tells the kids and the parents there, put a chart on your refrigerator with all the things you have to do, and once you do it, check it off and keep on going. And this way, everybody can see where you're supposed to be on that chart. And if you're not on that chart, your mother's going to ask you where it is, your father's going to ask you where it is, your little brother, little sister are going to ask you where it is. Everybody's going to see your progress, and everybody's going to know that you're either ahead or behind. Some consultants, that's all they do, is they do a chart like that, and they make sure that you stay ahead. So you take that for what you're worth. The last one here, and this is a con, and I thought about the cons a lot, and I think that this is a big one. This probably should have been number one. I think that the number one con, which is really last on my list, is that by the time you think that you need a consultant to help you get into a service academy, it's probably too late. I mean, we know the process. We know that the interviews and the applications for the nominations begin right when school starts. The interviews are in September, October, November. The applications for an appointment are starting in the summer, June, July, August, September, October. all that's going on. The SATs that have to be submitted are all the SATs and ACTs that have to be taken before December. Your grades that are going to be submitted are your junior year grades and first semester grades for your senior year, and that's about it. So by the time you think that, hey, maybe we need a consultant to help us, it's probably too late. If I really was to say when you need a consultant, it would be in the beginning of your junior year of high school, and maybe even earlier. Maybe your sophomore year in high school. That's when I think you would need a consultant. But once again, I think you can get all of those things by watching videos like mine that tell you what you need for grades, sports, community service, and all that. So if you're looking to get a consultant in the beginning of senior year, it might be too late. If you want them just to review the essays and check the boxes where you're supposed to be, that's fine. So those are my pros. I have about 4 or 5 cons, and now I'm going to tell you my opinion. Okay, I'm really not in favor of having consultants help you get into a service academy for 2 reasons. Number one, very few consultants really know the service academy timeline, what you need to get into a service academy, what you need to get a nomination. Very few people know that. They're out there. There's professional services. One guy is also here on YouTube. He has a very professional website, very professional videos, and he has a professional service. And I'm sure he's very good, and I looked at his stuff, and I know he knows what he's doing. If you could find somebody like that to help you, yes, go with a consultant. If you have somebody who just has a little experience, definitely not. Like I said earlier, they can hurt you. The other thing why I don't like consultants, and this is my opinion, very personal, I feel that if you can't get your act together, if you can't do the work yourself, if you can't be that organized to do everything that you have to do to get in a service academy, that consultant is not going to be there with you on day one and help you through. Once you get in, they're going to walk away and they're going to say, okay, you got it, goodbye, good luck, you owe me X amount of dollars. I really believe that you really should do all of this on your own. I put a video out there on mentorship. Like I said, you should do it on your own, but you really can't do it on your own. You need somebody to look over your shoulder, whether it's your father, your mother, an uncle, an aunt, a grandparent, somebody to help you, guide you, make sure you stay on the right path. And you need somebody to review your writing, like an English teacher, a teacher at school. If your parents are good at English writing and using commas, punctuation, which I'm not, but if they're really good at doing that, then you're golden. But the service academies are much different than regular college. You really have to be self-sufficient. You have to do what you have to do. You have to be self-reliant. I know the military is a team sport, but getting in the service academy is a team sport with a helper, and getting through the academy, it's on you to make sure that you study, you play the sports, you don't get in trouble, you do all the things. And that's why I think that those 2 reasons, if you don't have somebody who knows what they're doing, and if you're going to rely on somebody to do the work for you, I don't think it's a good idea. Just my opinion. I know that this is a controversial subject. I want your comments below. I'm sure people know excellent consultants. If you want to share those names and those phone numbers and those links down below, feel free to do. I don't care. I totally support people, having a business and especially helping people. Like I do these videos. These videos aren't monetized. My satisfaction comes from when I get the emails at the end of the year saying, thank you so much. Your videos really helped me get my appointment, get my nomination, and thank you. And I always write back to them, best of luck, and thank you for serving your country. So there's the pros, the cons, in my opinion. That's it. I hope you get what you want. I hope you got something out of this video. And thank you for watching. Bye now.